everybody, it's Alyce-Kay, Ruckelshaus with Ruckelshaus of Hineni with this pocket that I've been promising for a while that I would show you how to do. It's made from a paper sack. So it actually has an opening here inside this sack. Oh, all my cards just fell out, great. And then behind the sack, I also put an opening, or you could put it on the side. And then there's a small pocket here made from the bottom of the sack. Okay, so let me set these cards aside that just all got dumped out. I think I didn't have them stuck into pockets or anything yet. I did a little bit of prep work ahead of time because I didn't want you to have to watch me cut out fussy cut roses and stuff like that, because that would just take a lot of time and you don't need to watch me do that. But I did leave most of it to do here so that you could see it step by step. Now I do want to say I saw the place that I got the idea for this was from a video that Gail Agostinelli did, and hers is a lot simpler, so I'm going to put the link to hers below, and I would anyway just because I want you to see where the idea came from. Mine is quite a bit different from hers, but it's the same basic idea. It's really based on hers, and I think she got the idea from somebody else too. Who knows? You know, a lot of these things we never know who started them, but I like to credit as much as I can. So I'm going to do it slightly different from this one, and you can always look at this if you wanted to do it exactly the same. This is from, these things are images from Melody's Floriculture kit, and I'm going to use some different images from her kit, and you know, just fussy cut around and stuff. I want something different because I already have this in this journal, and so I want to do a different one for another journal that I'm working on. And I actually cut out stuff for making 4 different ones. Well, 5, but this one didn't print out pretty well. 4 different ones, and we'll just see what we have time for. And if the video cuts off in the middle of something, it always starts up again, so I'll include that as a part B. It doesn't let me know when it's cutting off. I don't hear a beep or anything, so I don't know that I've been cut off, but it does keep recording. So all right, so I wanted to tell you first of all about printing on paper bags. It's really not hard, but there are a few things that you want to know. First of all, for this project, because we want to be able to use this bottom flap, this part that, you know, if you set the bag up, this is the bottom, okay? But then when it's folded, it folds up so that it will make a nice little pocket. But you can see it's not going to be very deep, okay? So it's just a little pocket here. Okay, so we're going to print on this side of it. So depending on how your printer works, you either need to put it up or down. And if you don't know, run a piece of paper through, put an X on it, put an X in a corner and say this is top right, or whatever position it is when you put it in to be printed, and then you'll know which side of the paper it prints on and what's up and what's down in case you have an up or down. Now I have, in all of mine, I haven't done anything that has to be, you know, a certain way to be up or down. Now the other thing is you want to look for pictures or images, designs that will be high contrast with the brown but aren't going to clash with it, because the brown is going to come through. Because this is, you can see this is our picture that we've had all throughout. Let me see if I can find a place where I've got it whole, like this right here, okay? And I printed it in this color like this. Okay, but this is how it comes out on the brown. It's a lot more subdued. So I can use images from this that I fussy cut, and they'll stand out against it. And that's what I'm going to do on the sunflower one. Okay, so I printed 2 of these. It seems to almost always get extra ink here at the bottom, but that's okay because we're going to put stuff over that, so it's really okay. And sometimes at the top, and we're going to cut that off. Okay, so I also did sunflowers. I got these sunflowers from Pixel Scrapper, and I will link that below. These ones were from Pixabay, the roses. Okay, and I used that all throughout the Floriculture journal that I'm working on. This was also from Pixel Scrapper, and it's really neat because they have it where you can join for free and you can get 5 images a day, or you can you can pay a monthly fee to get unlimited images, which is really nice. Okay, this one for some reason only printed on part of it, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes you actually have to stick the bag through a few times because it runs it through and then it says there's no paper, because you don't want to do this with, you know, a full-size white paper behind it. You've got to have your little thing that comes up and closes against it. So sometimes you have to run it through a few times and then it doesn't run all exactly, but again, it's okay because we're going to be cutting this off anyway, so no problem. Okay, here's one that is a design that you can barely see because it did not work on this. It wasn't high enough contrast. It was a kind of olive green, and so you really can't see it very well. It was olive green, and then it had some of these teal streaky designs through it. That did not work as well at all. And I'll probably just print something else on top of it, maybe some more sunflowers or maybe something like this one on top of it, and that should be okay. So it's not wasted or anything. Okay, so for this one, I want to do these birds, and I may not do all of these on camera. I don't know. We'll just see how much time I have. But I've got these birds that I can use, and then I also have where is it? This medallion that I thought was really cool that could go with the birds. Okay, and you've got like these, you know, leaves and stuff, so that goes along with birds. And I also had something else to go with that. Where is it? I had this happiness looks good on you to go with that. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. That's actually my last priority to do. So we'll see if I have time or not. The plaid, I'm not sure what I was going to use that for. That was possibly going to be birds too. So I might do 2 bird ones. The sunflowers, okay, so here's what I was talking about. The sunflowers, when they print on here, and then print here, and this is also from Pixel Scrapper. It's a different image, but it's by the same person, and it's the same sunflowers. And this was the same color as this, but this is printed on white, this is printed on brown, so it comes out different. But see how I can cut out these and put them against this, and it'll look really cool. So there's that. And then, oh, I know what the plaid one was for. I had, I cut out this with this, oops, well, I just lost it. I'll have to get it off the floor. This and this. These were all one sheet from Pixel Scrapper, and this was from Pixel Scrapper also, and I just thought that those would look really fun together, and we could do something with that. Oh, and here's some seed packets for the sunflowers as well. Also from Pixel Scrapper, and this is from Pixel Scrapper. I'm not sure that I like this as much. I like it, but just not with these ones that look more like real sunflowers. But I'm going to put all that stuff together with the sunflower stuff, and I'm going to set this stuff all aside. Okay, and then some of these trims from the Melodimade Floriculture kit, I'll probably use throughout in all of those. So we'll just see how much time I have to make them. I may only have time to make one, but we'll see. Okay, so what I have for this one is I have this picture that has been my kind of main theme throughout the book, and then melodies that I've used more of hers throughout the book, but they're more subtle, so they end up kind of being more background, even though to me they're kind of the theme of the whole book. Because they're so subtle, they end up being more background. So I've got this for our background and for the sack. I've got these leaves that I can cut out and do stuff with. I printed out a bunch of roses. Now I got this rose right here from Pixel Scrapper, and then I took it to my Google Docs, and I, just changed sizes and printed it in different colors and stuff. And I mean, like here even, well, yeah, you can see here I've got blue. You can do it in all different colors so that it just fits with whatever it is that you're doing. So I've got enough roses already cut out. I fussy cut a few of them so that I would have plenty. And then I have this lace that I've used throughout that has, the roses in it, and some verses that I'll choose one of those to go on each of my envelopes. On each of my pockets. Okay, and then I've got all these really cool trims from the Melodimade Floriculture kit that I love. I really like these trims. They're great. I can see myself using them lots of places. In fact, I did use these, and I used one of the leaves, one of those big leaves, in a journal for my dad that had a Revolutionary War theme, and I just thought the colors in these just went really well with everything. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna have this open so that I don't forget anything, because I kind of followed what Gail did and kind of made stuff up on my own at the same time. Okay, so the first thing is that this bag, let's use this one. This bag is too big. It's too wide and it's too tall. So we're going to have to cut it down. Gail was using smaller bags, and if you have smaller bags, then you may not need to cut it, but I kind of liked how it turned out when I cut it. So what I did first was I cut the size, and I actually had originally cut it straight across. That's how Gail had hers. It was just naturally already cut straight across. So I'd cut it straight across, but I didn't cut it very evenly. So then I thought, well, let's just go with it. And so I cut it down even deeper like this, and it really, I like that look. I like that curve. So that's what I'm gonna do again. So I'm gonna do that first, because I'm gonna end up cutting the sides, and that's gonna make it hard to hold everything together, because I'm actually cutting the bag apart in essence, and I'm gonna have to sew it back together. So it'll just be easier to cut the top before I do that. So I want to look at how big I need it, and I want it to be like about that big to the top. So right here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut down, and just in like whatever kind of curve you want. I mean, you could do it as a curve, or you could just do it as an angle. It doesn't matter, just however you like it, because it's freehand. And you don't have to use, I'm using these scalloped scissors, but you don't have to use those. You could just use straight scissors if you wanted to. Okay, and I'll set that aside. I can always use this in Frankenpaper or lots of other places. I mean, and it's also, see, it's just one loop. So there's lots of different ways that I can use it. And in fact, I think I did in this journal, and I think I used some in another one that I'm making for a friend. I used some of the scraps from the paper bag to make little pockets and stuff. But anyway, I'll find them. I'll try to remember later to find those. Okay, so I've done that. Now, how wide do I need it? Well, first of all, I have this edge that didn't print, so that's good. We need to cut that off. We know that we need to cut that off because we don't want that to be there. So I'm going to cut it again. I'm not worried about being super straight. I do try to be straight, but I'm not good at cutting straight, and I think it turned out looking great anyway, so I'm just not going to really worry about it a whole lot. And again, you don't have to use the scallop scissors. I like that, but you certainly don't have to do that. Okay, and then these scraps to me are too small to use, so I'm going to throw those away. Oops, where's my trash? Great. Here it is. Okay, so I want to see how wide do I need it to be. Okay, so I need it to be like about to here. So I'm going to cut off, that's probably close to 1 inch that I'm cutting off. I'm going to take this out too. We don't need that anymore. So I'm going to cut off this much here. And again, I'm just cutting as straight as I can without being like super perfectionistic along there, like that. Okay, so now what I've got, and I am going to keep this because these are some nice sized pieces that are, well, this has ink all over it, so I'm just going to save this part here. Okay. All right, so now what I've got is it's still holding together as one piece like this, and I can get rid of this. Okay. But it's, you know, it's part of the sides. So I've got to sew up the sides, and you can see here that I did that. And I've got brown thread in my machine right now, which is totally fine. The book that I'm doing, I have some things in them right now that have the kind of tan thread, and some things that have this brown, and that's fine. So I'm going to put this on a zigzag, especially because I've, you know, cut this with the scalloped. Now again, you don't have to sew, you can glue this. In this case, it really is easier to sew, so if you can sew, I would. But you can glue it without any problem. You're just going to glue those two sides together. Not a big deal. Okay, so I've got one side sewn together, and I'm going to sew the other side together. Same thing, just zigzag from the top to the bottom. I'm leaving this pocket here, I'm leaving that free. I'm not catching it in there. I'm sewing it down on the sides, but I'm not going to close it. I just thought of something. If I was doing this again, and maybe I'll remember it next time, I would have, before closing up these sides, I would have gone ahead and sewn across the top here, because that would just make it stronger. It's going to be fine, even though I didn't sew it, but it just would have made it stronger. The other thing is that I could, if I don't want to have the sack itself as a pocket, but I want the pocket to be behind that, I could just go ahead and sew this closed. But I think what I'm going to do this time, instead of having, like I have on my other one, I have this as a pocket and this as a pocket behind it, I'm going to have the inside of the sack as a pocket and then from the side as a pocket. That's what I'm planning at this point, if I remember to put it in that way. We'll see. Okay, so we've got this pocket here too. All right, so now all we have to do is decorate it, and that's not that difficult. You can do whatever you want on it. You just want to remember that you have these two parts. You don't want to glue this thing shut or glue a design up over it. So I chose out, and I didn't plan this, I didn't plan out how I'm going to do it or anything, but I have some of this lace. I have, oh goodness, a whole bunch, I guess, of this lace. I've got, and I'm not sewing anymore, so I can push that back. I've got some of this. I've got a little bit of cheesecloth. I desperately need to do some coffee dye. Oops, and I've got, ooh, a nice little piece left from one of the trims in the Melodimade kit, so I might use that too. I really like those little pieces. So those are cool. Okay, so I've just got a bunch of little stuff here that I can use. I know that I want to include a verse, so I think what I want on this one is, I thank my God in all my remembrance of you, always offering prayer with joy in my every prayer for you all. Philippians 1:3-4. So I'm going to tear that. I like to tear. I just like the look of it. You can cut if you want. There's nothing wrong with that. I really like the look of torn things, and I like it especially if I use distressing ink on it. I like the way that it makes the torn parts show up. I am going to put the reference separate from the verse, so I'm tearing that apart separately, and I'm going to set it right here so I don't lose it, because I have lost these in the past. I think on some of these videos. One got stuck in a pocket that I didn't see. So we're going to tear these, and then we're going to use the distressing ink on it. If you don't want to have a Bible verse, then you can, look for some other saying or something, or even just a word. Like some journal makers use like gratefulness or kindness or hospitality. I haven't actually seen hospitality, but that's one that I would use. You could just use all kinds of things, or you could find a favorite quote that you really like. I just really like to use scripture because I love the Bible. I love God's word. I have a very strong relationship with God that's really important to me, and most of my friends do too. So like the friend that I'm making this journal, not my Floriculture journal because that's for me, but I'm making the one that I'm making the pocket for now, I'm making for a friend, and she has a strong relationship with the Lord, and so I know that she'll appreciate the scripture. But if you don't, or you're making it for somebody who doesn't, then use something else. Use a quote from a book, as long as it's not copyrighted, or use a famous quote. You can get onto Google and Google favorite quotes or famous quotes or quotes about blah blah blah. Like you might want to say quotes about roses, and you'll come up with all kinds of cool quotes. You'll have so much fun reading them, and you'll have a hard time choosing which one to use. Okay, now I'm using the distressing ink on top of the quote just because I don't want the paper to be white. I want it to be brown, and I don't care if I bend it or wrinkle it or anything. I want it to look old, and I also don't care what ink I get on the back of this pocket right here. That's why I turned it to the back, because that's not going to show. Okay, so I've got my scripture here, and I'm going to decide how I'm going to set this up. I think I want to use my big rose down here. I like that. And I think I want to use like 2 more roses. Actually, I like that big rose. I'm going to use 2 more big roses on here maybe. I'm not sure. We'll see. Maybe going down into the pocket like that, and then one like this. And I can use the leaves from the Melodimade thing. Okay, and then I can have my verse here and the reference here. That's all in the camera, right? And let me get this and the leaves. Okay, so these leaves are from Melodimade Floriculture kit. I love this kit. There's just so many great things about it. And the thing is, you guys, this is what's cool about buying a digital kit is you don't have to use it in one journal. You could, like I did, make it the theme of this journal, but you don't have to. And you know, I've made one with this as a theme. I may make more with this kit as the theme, but I will for sure use elements from this kit in other journals, and I already have. I've already used some elements in the journal that I'm making this pocket for, and like I said, I used some in my dad's, and I'm sure that I will be using them in a lot of my journals because I just really like the elements that are in this. They're very pretty, and like I said, they're subtle, and so they don't shout out to be made into the main topic of the journal. They work really well as background or as just like additional embellishments to your embellishments and stuff. You know, like the leaves aren't the main point of this pocket, but they're a really important element, and they're an element that you might not go, oh hey, look at those leaves, but without the leaves it would look funny. And so, you know, it's important to have them. So that's the kind of thing that I think is mostly in this particular digital kit. It's stuff that will go very, very well with a lot of the other things that I do. And in fact, some of the journals that I've already made, I've thought, oh man, I wish that I had something from this kit for that journal because it would have been perfect. And there's one that I already had finished, a Tennessee journal that I had finished, that I think I'm going to go and add a few of these things to it because I think that these elements will really make it even better. So, and this is in the original color that she did it in. So, I don't know if I've mentioned to you that I found out from Melody that she, the backgrounds on these are some echo dye that she did. And so that's pretty cool because I was kind of wondering, you know, what it was. It looks almost marble and everything, and I'm not sure if these are the original colors from when she echo dyed or if she, you know, manipulated the colors some like I've, you know, manipulated the colors of a lot of the pictures and stuff and images that I've been using. She may have, I don't know. I'll have to ask her, get some more details. And by the way, you guys, we are almost done with this journal. I'm guessing probably 3 or 4 more videos after this one, probably. Okay, so there's a leaf. And I want this to go across these 2 pockets, so I'm going to have to cut it. Okay, so I'm going to have to figure out where I want it to go across and cut it. But for now, I'm just going to lay it there. And I think 1 leaf is probably going to be enough. Okay. And then what else do I want? I don't want to overdo it. I tend to really overdo these things. Okay, so I'm going to cut it right straight across there, and that's how it's going to go. It's right there. See, and you can see from what I'm doing that you're not really going to see a whole lot of the back of the bag, of you know, the background of the bag, what we printed. It's just that. It's just background. Okay, so I want this coming here, and then I want, actually, and then let's go across right here. And I actually think I do want that leaf going across that rose on top of it. I think that looks pretty. Okay, and then that. How does that look, you guys? You think that's good? And then we've got our verse right here. Really, I don't think I want to put a whole lot more with it. Maybe a little bit of lace. Let's try that. I think not that one. Let's go for... there's all kinds of... I save my threads and stuff because then I like to use them for messy thread. And so it just gets stuck to everything. It's kind of funny. Look at this, you guys. I am getting down to the very, very last of my coffee dyed stuff. I mean, like this week I'm going to have to do some coffee dyeing, some really serious coffee dyeing. And I keep a file folder full of stuff that I want to coffee dye. Okay, so that way when I'm ready to coffee dye, I don't have to go, oh, what do I want to dye? What do I need and stuff? I just keep a file folder full. So like right now I've got a whole bunch of like paper scraps in it, and trying to think what else. Some coffee filters, some lace, some cheesecloth, because this is all that I have, and that's not very much. I used quite a bit in my dad's Revolutionary War journal. So I like that. What do you think? I was thinking I would need a lot of like some of these trims and stuff, but I think I've already got enough here. So we've got the roses from Pixel Scrapper. We've got the Melodimade leaf. We've got the roses in the background from Pixabay. So do you see how you can mix a whole bunch of different things? And I think I'm actually going to move the lace down so that it hangs off the bottom of it. And it doesn't go all the way across, and I like that. I do have some ink down here and a little bit of blank space, so I think I do want to put something there. Not that. Let's figure out. Oh, I like it. This was my least favorite trim, I have to say, and I ended up absolutely loving it. And I think, well, I think it's too light for this actually. Maybe this one. Yeah, I think this, because I don't want it to be like a main element. I just want it to be background. So I'm going to tear it. I want it to go behind all these things. Okay. And then I'm going to have to take this all apart and hopefully remember where I have stuff to put them back together. That's the hard part. Okay, so the bottom thing is going to be this trim, and this goes up over the pocket, so I'm going to have to cut it where the pocket is. Okay, so, all right, I think I remember where everything is. So these are the top ones. We know where this goes. This goes on the bottom. Okay, the lace is going to be the last thing to go on. Okay, so we're going to put this on. I'm going to actually let this hang off just a little bit for now. I don't want to obscure my zigzagged, my scalloped edge here, so I'm going to just bring it over just a little bit like this, just in case the edge of that trim shows. I'm going to go ahead and distress it, and I don't know if I was in camera when I was distressing the part that was torn. But I did distress that too. I don't know why I just distressed the bottom, because I'm going to cut that off. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to put that on first. And I'm not going to sew, I'm going to glue. Just because I think that's going to be the easiest thing. So I'm going to use my Crafter's Pick Ultimate. I really, really love this. And Lindsay Zener, I think it was Lindsay that said recently that she recently discovered it and she loves it too. It's really good. I will link it below. I've linked it a few times. Now, if you start to run out of your glue, and I would do this with any glues, if you're not buying it at a store, or maybe even if you are buying it at a store, I have found, and I've seen some of the other people who make journals online have problems with their glues when they first open them up. Like it's too thick or too thin, and so it's like if it's too thin, it's running all over the place. It can wreck stuff. If it's too thick, you just can't get it to come out. I would imagine that places like Michael's and anything like that, that they will, I would hope, exchange it for you easily. I get mine from Amazon, and I had no problem whatsoever exchanging it. I was amazed at how, ooh, I didn't cut that. I was amazed. See what happens when you don't pay attention? but you can always fix it. There we go. Okay. I was amazed at how easy it was to exchange it. I just wrote that it was defective. I told what was wrong with it, and they gave me a label to mail it back. And yeah, and they sent it out, the new one, right away. So I had it within a couple days. But but it is a couple of extra days. So you want to plan ahead. You don't want to wait until you run out of glue and then possibly get a bad one and have to send it back, because getting bad glue seems to be very common, either from places like Michael's or Hobby Lobby and Walmart and stuff, or from Amazon, because I saw quite a few reviews that said the same thing. So just be aware that you want to get that ahead of time. The good glues seem to sometimes have problems. Okay, so, but they are good, so they're worth it. All right, so I want this leaf on, I think, first, right? And then I was going to put this one over the rose there, but under this rose up here. Okay, so I'm going to put this part of the leaf on first, and again, I'm going to glue it. Yeah, so when I got my replacement glue, it worked great. No problems at all. It's just the perfect consistency. Oh, so that's the other thing. So when you get a new glue, I don't care where you get it from, try it out on a piece of scrap paper first to make sure that it's not too runny, not too thick, because if there's something wrong with it, you don't want to wreck your journal because you've got, really